Welcome to the Pulse of Jonesboro. I am Jeremy Terrell, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for all of those that have been tuning in on a regular basis, and we're really doing some great things. Today, I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on in our communities, and I kind of want to start with the No Kings protest and wrap it all up at the end of all of this. But the No Kings protest, I believe that a lot of people there that were protesting believe that there's a movement to have a king. The truth is that there's no mechanism out there that would allow anybody to be a king in the United States. I can tell you that there's nothing going on that has, at least in this administration, that has given any indication that anybody wants to be a king. I can definitely say in the last administration that there was a lot of things done that I would believe that would lead to people getting upset and being like, hey, this is not right. This is not how you do it. This is what kings do. Case in point is you guys, the Democratic side, didn't even get to vote on who in the world it was going to be to run for president. You know, that's unprecedented. That was superseding the people at a mass level, maybe never seen before, ever, at least in modern day in the United States. And that was just highway robbery, that the people did not get to vote on who was going to run as president on their political side. These days, it's really easy to get involved with things out of passion, and you think that it's the right thing. And like I said, I think that there's a lot of people that believe what they're told, believe that Donald Trump wants to be a king. And again, that you can have the argument whether you like what he's doing or not, but a lot of people are protesting about him deporting people, and he hasn't even touched a candle to the deportations of Clinton and Bush and Obama. They all were way in the millions of deporting people and aliens, and yet it's an agenda, and it's agenda driven by two things: power and money. That's what we see a lot of in politics these days, is power and money. It's not about doing what's right for the people. It's about how much power can we get, and in some cases, how much money can we make as we're doing it. The money thing is probably a 50-50 shoot, probably. I think we probably would be amazed. It's probably way more than that, but I'm trying to give benefit to the doubt. But definitely about power, and you see that everywhere. The infighting within parties, that's always about power. Yeah. Stuff going on at the state level, that's about power. The stuff going on up in Washington is about power, and definitely within our local environments, it's all about power. And sometimes it's about money. And rarely in the history of the United States, that is, when you went with the majority. If you were in our government in the U.S. and you went with the majority of the people, you didn't go wrong too often. And there used to be a time where people compromised, and so you met in the middle. And that was all the way up until through the Clinton times. Presidents met in the middle to try to please both sides. That kind of turned around about mid-Bush's, this last Bush. That's when that stopped. And then it became about power, and it became about agenda. And those that are pushing the agenda have been trying to push the agenda for a long time, but with social media and other advancements, they were able to push that media incredibly fast, much, much faster than they had been over the last 50 years. So today we are feelings and agenda driven at a level that we've never seen before. People are getting hoodwinked. People are really out there getting all of their emotions, and people become experts at triggering other people. We see throughout the United States, throughout the world really, but I'm worried about the United States than I am anybody else. But we see that people just get triggered, and then you see a bunch of outside influence being bought. And the No Kings thing was brought to fruition by a couple billionaires. And why? Again, there's no mechanism to let anybody become a king. But a couple billionaires pushed a narrative, and it stuck. It stuck. I know you guys have seen like these clips of where the news broadcasts, it's 50 or 100 across the country, all are saying the same thing. at the same time. And you're like, how in the world did that happen? How in the world did 50 different networks across the country, including your big ones too, all start saying the exact same thing? That's agenda, and it's being driven, period, across the United States. There's nothing we can do about it across the United States, but we can do things about it locally. And we really got to start looking and understanding whether it's an agenda or whether it's really good for the people. And case in point is the bike paths. And I get in trouble by some friends over the bike paths, and I don't by others. But the narrative of the bike paths. Do we need some bike paths? Sure, absolutely. Get some bike paths. It does add to quality of life, but the focus of millions and millions of dollars of bike paths is an agenda. A few people read that bike paths make communities safer. If you Google places that put in bike paths that it didn't change anything within their community, there's a bunch of those as well as the ones that became a better, safer place that got bike paths. The percentage isn't greater that the ones that put in bike paths got safer. The percentages are probably 50-50, at least that the research that we've been doing. But nobody talks about that. They just talk about, hey, bike paths make us safer, so we need to put in more bike paths. They talk about putting the one-lane road in downtown. And they actually talked about taking away all the roads. And of course, the majority of the downtown people, which was smart, was like, heck no, we need at least one lane. Make one lane, make it safer, so forth and so on. But what people don't understand is Jonesboro, I keep saying it and people don't listen, but it's the research that is done, and the research and the numbers don't lie. This isn't Jeremy's opinion. This isn't anybody else's opinion. It is the research, but we are a car-dependent community, and we like our cars. But they're still going to shove agendas down our throats. They want to take parking spots away and make green spaces. Anytime you hear green spaces, that's an agenda. Now, whether you like green spaces or not, but when you hear it as green spaces, that's an agenda. Why can't you just say a park? Because the park is not a buzzword. Green agendas are. But those are the things that we're dealing with. We're dealing with agendas over what's best for you and me. Another thing is we're putting in sidewalks. But I have yet to hear anything about roads. All of my listeners, with the exception of a few, all say, yes, the roads are horrible. Every time the mayor posts something about sidewalks or bike paths, people get furious and say, can you fix the roads? And they just get ignored. And again, it's because it's an agenda. All the money that comes into the city is put into the general fund for the most part, instead of putting it in the areas that they should have put it in, roads and things like that, so that you know what you're pulling from to service the city. And I really want people to understand that. They take anything and everything and they try to put almost everything into the general fund. And that's because they get to do whatever they want. And again, it's about agenda. It's not about what's best for you and me. We've got to start looking for all of these key things that go on. It's the same thing within schools. There's tons of buzzwords. Our teachers and our principals and stuff, they really want to teach, don't get me wrong. But there's an agenda with schools, and then that is money. It's so crazy how we have allowed teaching kids to become about money. And it is. It's 100% about finances, not about teaching our kids. And that's got to stop. There's all kinds of things that are being pushed, these constant changing things. The changing isn't trying to make our kids smarter. It's people making money. And they go into the states or they go into the federal agencies and they're like, hey, we got this great new program and we've been doing our research and this is going to make us better and smarter and faster, when the truth is that none of the research really says that. And if you go back to the 70s and 80s and look at how we were teaching, that was actually way more effective than we currently are right now. But we ignore that. We don't want to go back to what worked. We want to fix things and come up with other things. But again, it's this new world that we're living in, and it is about feelings and agenda. It's about having power and about people getting rich. The case in point is that the middle class has shrunk. I mean, there's been a few studies out that the middle class has shrunk a lot, actually. Rich have gotten richer and poor have gotten poorer, and the middle class is either going one way or the other. And the middle class used to be the heartbeat of America. It definitely is in Jonesboro. The middle class is definitely the heartbeat of Jonesboro. We don't see that mass difference as the United States has. It's happened a little bit here in Jonesboro. That's one of the ways that we've been isolated from the world, the rest of the world, and we weather a lot of storms that some other parts of the country don't. But the middle class is the heartbeat and soul of Jonesboro. And yet when the city starts trying to make movements and things like that, they're not thinking about the middle class. They're just not. Tell me a movement that was made for the middle class. There wasn't one. I can't tell you one. Sidewalks, regardless what you say, sidewalks aren't for the middle class because the only place that it's being put is a direction to Jonesboro. You don't see these sidewalks being put in all over or around schools or whatever. We're not catering to the middle class. Bus routes don't cater to the middle class. I guess the restaurants do. And that's because they came in and did a study on how many people eat out. And look, we're overran by middle-class restaurants. At least somebody's listening and looking, right? But anyways, this is a ramble today, but I really want people to understand that we've got to start looking for leaders, real leaders in our community. We really got to start talking about it, spreading it. And we can't just continue to elect people that are just in it for power. Look who they surround themselves with. Look how they're doing their own business or whatever it may be. And it's really easy to find who's doing things for the people and who's really doing it for power and money. And we got to start distinguishing pretty heavily, definitely over the next few years, of who is doing it for the right reasons. We have some elections coming up real soon and next year, and we need to start doing a better job of making sure that the people that are running are the right people. We got schools, tons of school boards, the way that the rules have been changed on that. So we got a ton of elections going on for schools. We got some state things coming up here in the next year. And we've got some county and city stuff coming up. I really want people to start looking at what's going on in our community to make sure that Jonesboro stays a community of level-headedness. And when I say that, that's you, the people. We're incredibly level-headed. Jonesboro is built on a bunch of good, hard-working people and good family people, good Christian people, and so forth and so on. And we need to make sure that we are going in that direction. And we need the leaders that are going to take us there. This is a short one this week. And that's because we've got a lot going on, and we are getting ready for some of those interviews that I told you about that are coming. We're going to push off a couple of them into July just because of how busy this time of the year gets. So we're going to have some great interviews here in the next couple of weeks and months and really move towards really pushing and understanding more about the inner workings of Jonesboro and the directions that we should be going versus the directions that we are going. Also start trying to find some real leaders out there that want to make a difference within schools or within our city. City council has a bunch coming up next year, and we need to make sure that we start now on getting people that really want to be on city council, school boards, and other levels to do good for our community. So, guys, I appreciate you tuning in this week. But we'll be excited about the next couple of episodes and look forward to seeing you guys soon. And have a great week, and God bless.